Welcome to a special edition of Indy's Real Estate Gurus. I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy. And today I'm going to be talking with Ian, and I'm going to we've interviewed everybody else. So today I'm going to interview Ian.
Can I ixnay myself from this?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well,
All
you
right.
can, but I'm going to still interview you. So I'll just interview you as me, and that would not go as well for you.
All right. Well,
All right.
I guess I'll do this.
So we better do this. So Ian, before you got into being a mortgage loan officer, what did you do?
Well, I grew up actually in Florida, and I'll go into more here, a little reason why I'd say that. When I was 16, I moved here to Indiana. Moved in with my parents. My parents have been divorced since I was 2, but I moved in with my dad. Went to North Central High School, then went to IPUI. So I started working. I ran Blockbusters for a little while. Then they started shutting doors down. So then I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? Well, one of my customers was like, hey, you're good with customers. Why don't you sell cars? And I was like, commission job? No, because you're going to live off paycheck to paycheck. I mean, let's be honest. Until you get going, I mean, I'm one person. I don't have at that time. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have any other backing. So they were like, well, we'll train you for a month and then see how you do. I'm like, well, you pay me for a month in training. I can do basically anything. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty smart. So I ended up doing it. Actually, was in the car industry for over 10, almost 12 years. I did the financing. I did basically any part in there in the car industry I've done, which is nice because you see all the ins and outs and how everything's going. But the issue came into what was I going to do now that I was married? I had 2 young kids, and I was like, I can't be working 8 o'clock at night doing financing for people, working every Saturday, because when you do financing, you don't get weekends off.
Right.
It's not like a car salesperson where they're like, hey, yeah, we're going to take just off a day. No, you're doing financing too, so you have to be there. So then I was like, all right, I got to do something different. So the funny thing is I got my first house when I was in the car industry, and I was one of the guy who did my loan. Unfortunately, he passed away. He was a good friend of mine. But I call my account got processed to you or transferred to you, and I got your email every single month. I mean, I looked at it sometimes, but I had my house. But it was once a month, wasn't too aggravating. So it was not like some of these retail stores that are like 4 times a day. And I'm like, no,
not to be too aggravating.
So when I was talking, so I was like, look, I love the financing part. I love that in the car industry. And I was like, well, is there a much difference between this and a house? So I called you up. I was like, hey, you got a time to talk, which was kind of nice. Is I got the firsthand look. Look, these are the differences between what you're doing now and then what you're going to be doing in the future. If you decide to go on this path. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the funny thing is being commissioned still, I still remember this to this day, is the first thing go, look, on cars, you get paid basically when the car sells. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, not like here. You're waiting 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, however long that process takes. And if you're helping people build their credit, it could take a year or 2. And it just depends. Everybody's situation is different. But the financing, which I thought was really interesting when I first started taking my first 2 loans, is it's the same questions I asked when I did the car industry. Yep. So it was like, wow, this is not even different, which is kind of unique. I mean, yeah, we didn't ask people bank account information, but everything else, pay stubs and sometimes W-2s for self-employed people and their tax returns for Schedule C. So I'm like, wow, this is basically what I'm doing. It's just on a higher scale. So after I talked to you, I took the class, got my license. Didn't take too long, which is awesome. And then luckily you allowed me to work under you to learn and tutor me and mentor, as we like to talk about on our show all the time. Is mentoring is a must. I mean,
yes, it is.
Imagine, and I think of it because you and I talked, there's other places. All right, should I work for a company like this where you got to go get leads, you got to basically become a realtor but in the mortgage end, or you go to some of this what I call call center places. And because I did not want a call center, that's just not my cup of tea and to sit there and just wait for phone calls, and that's just not me. I like the phone. I'm not a phone person.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But so then luckily I came under you, worked under, and enjoyed it ever since.
So you got into the business, and what do you as you look at the business, what would you say your how you really got going, and how you what has been like the best thing that you've done? Let's stop that. Let's do something different. What would you say your superpowers are?
Uh, as it comes to my superpower, I would think it's just communication. So and people go, well, yeah, you're a salesperson in communication. I go, yeah, but there's a difference. Is so I told you my parents were divorced. So my mom and my stepdad were basically poor. Poor, lived in the country, redneck, bikers, tatted all up, different type of language. Well, then my dad, my dad's a computer programmer. My stepmom was a secretary for the Simon Group. Totally different ball games. Anti tattoos, anti guns, anti all this stuff. So I learned how to talk with different multiple people. And so whether you're a farmer or whether you're a high $1 billion investment guy, I can sit down and talk to you like it's nothing. And I've seen in training salespeople and everything, not everybody can do that. So being able to break down even to each person's different level, and I don't mean that as a bad way, but different people think different ways. That I can make it, you understand what I'm trying to get across, just because everybody talks differently.
They absolutely talk differently.
Yes.
And it's very important that you are able to talk to everybody. What would you say maybe your favorite part of the job is?
I think people in general I love to talk to. I mean, I think my wife gets mad at me when we walk through a neighborhood and I'll stop and talk to anybody, and especially once I know you. I mean, it is hard for me to get out there and just talk to a random person. That's just not me. But if I've seen you a couple times, I'll make a couple jokes and then we'll just start talking. But I can talk to anybody. I just like talking to people. Besides that, I love and we've talked about this a couple times when we're interviewing people, is when you sell somebody a home for the first time and they don't realize what have accomplished until it's there, and then the emotion sets on people. That hits home basically. I mean, because I mean, I've seen people. I mean, my parents lost their house. My mom and stepdad lost their house twice. Like literally, the bank foreclosed on them, and we had grandparents buy it back and everything like that. So I'm able to just sit there and go through everything with people.
Right. Yeah, because
So,
you've seen a lot.
yes.
Yeah, as a kid.
So being able to talk to people, I think, is the biggest.
Yeah. So you can relate to people.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're not working? What's your life like not at work?
Well, I got 2 young kids, so running around them most times now. Then I do play a lot of basketball. Keeps me in shape because I hate the gym. I love to work out on a basketball court. I don't want to work out lifting weights. That's just, my wife loves weightlifting and all that stuff. That's just not me. She learned that early. It's just like, I just go through the motions. Put me on a basketball court, I'll spend there 4 or 5 hours. You put me on a treadmill, I'm done in 30 seconds.
Yeah. So you're competitive then.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in any sales job you have to be competitive.
Yeah, I agree.
Now there's different. Well, you don't have to be as. Even though I came from the car industry, I wasn't the old car mentality. Hey, no, you got to buy this, and I'll talk you into it. No, look, there's many different homes. There's just like there are many different loans. I'm going to show you many different options and let you choose. This is your decision, not mine. I'm not making payments.
Right.
So, and the funny news is like you and I like to give people 3 or 4 options when we give them. You might tell me, hey, look, I want the lowest rate, 30-year, and then with 4% down. All right. Well, how about I also show you what 10% down, maybe a little higher rate, but your closing costs are lower. But it's interesting that I'll give those options all to you. And one I think that you said, because what you told me at the beginning, you choose a totally different one because you didn't realize there was other options.
Right. Because people just don't know.
Correct.
That's absolutely it happens
But
a lot.
But like so as not being a salesperson, but more of a guide. And I think a mentor, and I like to use that word, mentor towards a customer to, hey, these are your options. I mean, so I don't have to sell you on something. I'm going to show you your best options and then you choose for yourself. Now, if you want to ask more questions, that's what I'm there for. I'm going to advise you and mentor you through the whole process.
Yeah. Now you play a lot of basketball. Did you play basketball in school?
Yeah, I played played all the way until sophomore year, and then once I moved up here, it was a little tougher because they had the teams picked, which is understandable because those kids have grown up together.
Right.
Well, I also was a much better runner, so running the mile, the cross country. Then I went into marathons and stuff, but I don't want to do that too much anymore.
I didn't know you did marathons. That's news to me. So what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
I would say easily my cell phone, call or text is 317-506-8952, or you can contact us easily at Hardworking Mortgage Guys, which we always use. But always sell is sometimes easier just because some people like to call or text.
Yep. So please get a hold of Ian, and he will be able to help you through any mortgage situation that you have.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Rittman's NMLS number 6645889. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.